Hello, everybody. So we've gone live. Sorry, I am a little bit behind. I usually do it at noon Pacific Standard Time, but I figured out how to do it from my phone today because the quality is so much better. So welcome, guys, for joining. Yeah, so we are going to answer some questions here for on the Patreon. So let me just take a look at what they are. Yeah, so the first question on the Patreon, guys, if you're not sure what the Patreon is, it is a forum where you guys can ask questions and I answer them on the live. So definitely check that out. So we have our first question is from Michelle. So she says, "Hi Amanda, love you and your channel." Thank you. I've just joined the Patreon and I intend to always benefit from your answers. And I intend that you benefit from my answers. So my question is rather delicate. Long story short, I've manifested time and investment early days with an SP I've loved for over 10 years. And well, a woman he messed casually about with is pregnant. I keep intending that it's someone else's the father's, is a strong possibility of this anyway. I don't want entanglements. Is this possible? And what thoughts should I take mind? Okay, well, I mean, yeah, so I mean, there's so many angles. You can say that it's somebody else is the father, definitely 100%. Your thoughts will actually go back in time and change that. You can intend, that any way that you want to intend it. The main thing is that you really take a look at what your doubts are and your concerns, and you really, really, really want to change those, and you want to get all of them. So the best thing to do is to take the whole entire old story, write it out, and then once you've got the old story written out, what you want to do is you want to change it to the positive story of what you want, and you want to stay on a really, really, really strict mental diet. So some of the most powerful intentions that you can create are the exact opposite of what your thoughts are, your fears are, and what your worries are. Okay. And you want to do your mental diet every time you think about the situation and to the point where you feel good about it. Okay. So, you want to, you feel like, no, 100% convinced that that is not his child. Okay. So you want to start intending those things. What specifically do you want to intend? It really depends what route you want to take with it. Right. So, it really just sits down. I mean, your brain was always going to take the path of least resistance, automatically. So you're going to want to, work and change that. I mean, you're saying it's a possibility that someone else is the father. I mean, great. So let's go with somebody else is the father. It's how much do you believe that is really the key here, because everyone's you pushed out. So you create that. Again, I would take all your complaints and change them into positive intentions and really stick on it. So also you can do things like, script out, the story of how you want it to be and how you want it to end. And you want to live in that thought as much as possible right now. Okay. So the next question is Minnie Meow Meow. I love that username. It's adorable. Love it. Hi, Amanda. We heard you talk about everyone as you pushed out. Yes, I have, in great length. But in some videos, I've heard you say that when something doesn't go the way you want, think of it as if the person is going through their own thing and it has nothing to do with you. Okay, but you should always think that anyway, because you create them to be their own person. Okay, so what I meant was don't take anything personally. So you don't want to, you never take anything personally. Okay, so if you create Gerry to be, late all the time, you can't take that personally and make that about you, because everyone is you pushed out. You've assumed that Gerry's always late, so Gerry's always going to be late. Or if you assume, poor little Gerry over here, okay, if you assume actually that Gerry has baggage, okay, so now Gerry has baggage, okay? So don't take his baggage of not wanting to commit personally, because you've created him to have baggage, okay? So that's what I mean with that, is just because you create Gerry to have baggage doesn't mean that that everyone isn't you pushed out. It just, don't take it personally. Don't go, okay, what's wrong with me that he doesn't want to commit? Do you get what I'm saying? So can both be true? Well, yeah, you should never take anything personally when it comes to somebody else, because it's only your assumption that you've projected onto them. Okay, so I assume that, this Gerry, okay, for instance, is just mean to everybody and is mean to me and doesn't want to commit. So don't take that personally. Don't think, oh, what's wrong with me? What do I need to change to make him want to commit? You don't need to change anything. You're perfect. You just need to change your assumption of him and say, well, I intend that Gerry wants to commit. Okay. So I intend that that clears that up. Okay. So if everyone is you pushed out and people don't have free will, how is it possible that they can have their own issues going on? Well, because you create people through your assumption of them. Okay. So in the 3D, they're still separate from you. Okay. They're not you, right? They're separate from you. So this is how everyone is you pushed out works. Okay. And I'm going to read it to you right out of Neville's book. So this is his book, Prayer, the Art of Believing. This is chapter 5, Thought Transmission. Okay. And so how everyone is you pushed out works is your consciousness is the light reflected on the mirror of your mind, okay, and projected into space to the one that you think of. So by mentally speaking to the subjective image in your mind, you cause the mirror of your mind to vibrate. So your vibrating mind modifies the light of consciousness reflected on it. That modified light of consciousness reaches to the one of whom he is directed, and it pings on the mirror of his mind. And then it actually causes his mind to vibrate according to the modification it undergoes. Thus, it reproduces in him what was mentally affirmed by you. Okay, so what that means is when I have a thought thinking, okay, Gerry's going to be on time, my pings and it vibrates and it shoots out to Gerry, and Gerry goes, oh, I'm going to be on time today. Okay, because he thinks it's his idea. Now, the thing is, okay, how do people are even separate? Like, how do people even show up to begin with? Well, it's your regular assumptions. Okay. So you have an assumption that there's people in the world. Great. You also have an assumption that they probably have a house they live in. Okay, great. That made the house. Then they're in their house. But then you also have assumptions that they work 9 to 5. Maybe they all have jobs. So now they have jobs. You have an assumption that everybody eats lunch. Okay. You have assumption that other people have hobbies. Okay. So your general beliefs about people is what actually creates, them out there. Okay. So for instance, right, you can have a general assumption that, some people like painting, some people don't. All of a sudden, now you're going to have people come into your life that like painting and other people that come into your life that don't. Okay, because you create them. So they're still separate. They seem to be separate out there, but they're created from your beliefs, your assumptions, your general beliefs and assumptions just about, this world in general. And then also your specific beliefs and assumptions. Okay. I hope that I intend that answers your question. So shouldn't everything they do mean it's your creation? Therefore, you should take it personally as feedback that you've created it. Okay, take it as feedback, but never take it personally, because when you're taking it personally, now you're beating yourself up, right? So, I mean, are you responsible for absolutely everything in the world? Well, I mean, to a point. I mean, things only exist because you've created it. But does that mean you should take it personally and beat yourself up over it and all of a sudden now think you've got to change the entire world? Well, absolutely not. I mean, it's not about right or wrong, good or bad, right? It's about taking responsibility for your assumption of other people. So if you want world peace, start focusing on world peace. Okay, stop thinking about anti-war rallies, because if anti-war rallies it means you're focusing on war. Let's focus on peace. Let's focus on everybody getting along. Let's focus on everybody having universal health care in their country. Let's focus on everybody getting along and everybody in the world working together. Let's focus on everybody having enough food every day. Let's focus on abundance. Okay, and let's keep focusing on that, right? So I mean, it's not about taking it personally. Remember, you're perfect. Okay, So you want to change something in the world? Definitely put your thoughts to it. I mean, I decided that I wanted to help transform people and their relationships. Okay. So what do? I start a company and a YouTube channel and coaches that are out there to help people because I want to help people to have better relationships because I know it's possible and I want people to be happy and create what they want. Okay. So I'm focusing on a solution that means a lot to me. And I feel like that's something that is my purpose. I've created it to be, even though, everything's empty and meaningless. Okay. So what you want to do is to find something and to focus on the solution of it and keep focusing on the solution, that you want. So, but again, there's no benefit in taking everything that's wrong in the world personally. Like, there really isn't. You're perfect. It's only your assumptions that you've created. It does not have anything to do with you. You're still perfect creator like you were to begin with. It's just, what are you choosing to create? Okay. So, okay, so sorry for another question from Minnie Meow Meow. Sorry for posting so many questions. No, don't worry about it. I can't see the question I had initially posted. Oh no, it was there. I just read it. So if you have a negative concept of people in general, such as people are materialistic and people can't be trusted, is that tied back to the concept of yourself? No, it's not actually. See, again, we're taking it personally. This is what I was just talking about in the last question, is there's no reason to take, assumptions that you've created on people personally. And it's not, you don't have, it doesn't have to be up to you to fix the world. You work on having a good concept of people. And when you have a good concept of people, what ends up happening is they end up changing, but you can't take it personally. And no, it has nothing to do with you. Me saying Gerry's late all the time has nothing to do with me and the concept of myself. Gerry's late all the time, like no big deal. Like, take yourself out of the equation, okay? And just look at it from the other person's point, like that you've created the other person to be that, because it never has anything to do with you. As soon as you tie in, this person, say for instance, that somebody can't be trusted, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, something's wrong with me to create somebody to do that. All of a sudden now what you're doing is you're actually now creating a second story that you're not good enough. And now you're just creating a bigger mess. So no, I'm perfect. I'm absolutely perfect. Can some people not be trusted? Well, obviously I've made that assumption. I intend that everybody that I meet is trustworthy. Okay. So you want to stop making people's behavior that you don't like mean that there's something wrong with you, because there isn't. You're perfect. Okay. Like, I totally get it. That's the first thing that we want to do, is to create that, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, Gerry's cheated on me. There's got to be something wrong with me. No, there's not. You've just had the assumption that Gerry can't be trusted. Okay. Does that mean there's something? No, you're perfect. You're absolutely perfect. So again, don't take what you've created other people to do that you don't like personally, if there's something wrong with you. There isn't. Change your concept of them, because remember what Neville said is you're light, okay, in your head. So I say, well, Gerry just can't be trusted. It pings over to Gerry. Gerry says, I need to go cheat on her because I can't be trusted. Does that mean that I'm imperfect in any way? No, that just means I had a thought that vibrated in my mind, pinged over to Gerry's mind. That's why what you've created in other people has nothing to do with you and your self-worth. A lot of times, though, don't get me wrong, we need to work on our self-concept and our self-worth about ourselves, because so many times we do exactly what you've suggested here, is we create somebody to treat us badly and then somehow make it mean that we're not good enough and that we need to change something about ourselves for them to treat us nicely. But we don't. We've got to take that out of the picture, and we have to work on saying we're perfect, we're perfect, we're perfect. Okay? I intend that makes sense. So here it says, or can it be that you have a very positive concept of yourself and have negative concepts of people? That's exactly it. Wow, I could have just read the next line. Amanda. Which, if reworked alone, could lead to a better relationship. Absolutely. Because if you're, again, making it about yourself, your self-concept about yourself, that, oh, I've got a negative concept about Gerry, that means there's something wrong with me. Again, you're just adding a second layer to that story that does not need to be there. You're just adding more work for yourself. Okay. So I'm wondering if it's a two-way street, if that makes sense. Well, I mean, having a negative concept about somebody else has nothing to do with you. It's just an opinion, a concept that you have of somebody else, and keep it separate from you. Your story should always be that I'm good enough, I'm perfect, and regardless of what other people do, it has nothing to do with me. So that's exactly what your first question was about, taking it personally. Don't take what you project on other people personally. Okay. So whether you, create Gerry to not want a relationship or to want a relationship, you can't take either one personally, because it's the difference of this. Gerry doesn't want a commitment, and then that means he doesn't want a commitment. But if I say Gerry wants a commitment, now he wants a commitment. So both statements, nothing's changed about me. I'm still me, whether I've got insecurities or what, right? Now, if I say, okay, Gerry doesn't want to be a commitment, there must be something wrong with me. Now I've just created insecurities in a second story, because I've got to say, Gerry wants a commitment, and then I have to say, and I'm good enough for him to want a commitment with me, because I said there was something wrong with me. So do you see where that goes? So you don't take what other people that you've created other people to be personally. It's not personal. Once you take you out of the equation, you just rework what you see out there. But again, like I said, so many times in relationships, we got to work on the concept of ourselves and that we are good enough, because, just as humans, as a habit, we like to say, okay, well, you know what? Gerry doesn't want to commit. There must be something wrong with me. But really there wasn't. The only thing is that I had a thought thinking Gerry didn't want to commit. It vibrated in my mind. It went to go ping on, into Gerry's mind. And then Gerry didn't want a commitment. And that was it. Nothing to do with my self-concept, until I made him not wanting a commitment mean that I wasn't good enough and that there's something wrong with my concept of myself, right? Yeah, so Sundal. Ooh, nice name. I like it. Next question. Hi, Amanda. I noticed some anxiety coming up when I was writing down affirmations that Katie gave in the How to Make Him Love You success story video. I get it. Oh, by the way, guys, we post all of the intentions that the coaches give in the videos in the Patreon group as well. Okay. It was almost like I was feeling like, what happens if this doesn't work? Any tips on how to deal with the anxiety that comes up when faced with the 3D? Well, yeah. So anxiety is basically thoughts of the future which you don't like. So, once that this doesn't work. Okay, so we need to battle that with a mental diet. This is going to work. I know my thoughts create. So a good thing to battle anxiety, right, would be to create those little list of intentions and little tiny things of everyone as you pushed out. So you can basically see the magic, like constantly intend, always go out throughout your day, intend that little things work out in your favor. Yesterday we were getting a delivery for something, and I found myself, I was sitting on the couch and I was on TikTok, and I was like, my whole night was basically revolving around this delivery. And I was like, oh, when is it going to be here? I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh, between 3 and 6. I'm like, this is taking forever. And then all of a sudden I was like, Amanda, you're the god of your reality. Why don't you just say it's going to happen? It's going to happen now. I was like, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen now. They're just down the road. Not more than 3 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. The delivery showed up. Okay. So, you want to do little things throughout your day that constantly remind you that everyone is you pushed out. And you want to constantly have proof and evidence of that. The more faith and belief that you have in your thoughts creating, the less anxiety you're going to have. I used to have major anxiety. And so what I did to deal with it is I did that list. And the other thing I did was whenever I felt it, I would combat those thoughts. Okay. So let's say I had anxiety of what people are going to think about me. When I first posted YouTube videos, I'd be like, no, everyone's going to think I'm amazing. I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. I know this works in my life. Everyone's me pushed out, and I intend that everybody benefits from it. Right. And then boom, and then, you persist in that, and then that'll relieve your feelings, because your thoughts create your emotions. So if you're feeling anxiety, you've got to get on top of those thoughts, and then double that up with, making sure that you're constantly intending throughout the day consciously of how you want your day to go, or even that little list, both even, to constantly remind yourself and to see the correlation between your thoughts and your reality. It's been some of the smallest manifestations that have sort of gotten me back on track and from spiraling out of control, right? So very, very, very important. Michelle's question. I've been manifesting a few different specific people. Oh, I love it. Yes, I would. Why not? Can I use the same intentions to attract them to show up how I want? Like saying they want me and only me? Absolutely, and I get my choice and they're always after me. Like, oh, totally, totally. Um, yeah, yeah, you can use the same intentions and just, change the names. You also want to take a look, as well as, is there anything particular, that you want each, like, that they have of their own. So, like, how what I'm okay, so what I'm sort of saying is, let's say one of them is Gerry and one of them is George, right? And Gerry, is always, showing affection, but George doesn't. So, you may not need to create that intention for George or for Gerry, but you do need for George. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm sure that you've created them to come across with their own set of, traits, because that's how we create people. So, yeah, I mean, you can use the same intentions to, attract them to show up how you want, or different ones, or, you can attract as many SPs, like specific people. You can have like 5 people chasing you and wanting to be with you and have your choice. I mean, you can have whatever you want. This is your reality. As long as you feel comfortable with it, then you can absolutely have it, right? So, hi Amanda. How can we oh, a sec here, guys. Okay, so let's take a look here. Um, we've got Julie, or no, we've got a Gung's question next. I hope I said that right. Hi, Amanda. How can we manifest when we've had contradicting beliefs? One belief is to have debt is bad, and this was true because our experience with unpaid credit cards. On the other hand, we need debt from the bank for a house mortgage, car, etc. How can we deal with this limiting belief to get a mortgage approval? Oh, okay. So the first thing is we're gonna call debt. Okay, so we're calling a mortgage a debt, and I think that's a little bit of a problem there. So, I mean, mortgage is a loan, and I would probably look at it proactively that way, rather than credit card debt. But I mean, you could even just go with, what, I intend to be debt free. I never have credit card debt. All my credit cards are always paid off, and then look at a mortgage more as an investment, because a mortgage is more of an investment, because you sell it for more. You don't sell your credit cards for more. So I think, you're really generalizing debt just to be owing money. But I mean, I guess let's take a look and be more specific about what you're owing money for, or, what, you can just go straight to, basically, that you always pay for everything in cash. I mean, why not, right? But again, okay, credit card debt is different than having a mortgage. A mortgage is an investment. And, because let's put it this way, okay, mortgage really isn't debt, because you buy a house, okay, you get a mortgage on it. Now, you have the money in the house. You can sell the house to pay off the bank. It's not like, credit card debt where you stop making payments, you have no collateral to pay those credit cards. So, you're sitting in your house, you're paying your mortgage, and then one day you decide you don't want to pay the mortgage anymore. You sell the house, you get enough money from the sale of the house to cover the mortgage. So it isn't really debt. It's, do you get what I'm saying? So I would redefine what you're calling debt. Okay. So, I mean, car, I mean, that's, a little bit of a different story. It doesn't make money. You usually buy it for more, than what you sell it for, because it depreciates, right? Unlike a house, it appreciates. So when you, when you, when you say, for instance, get, a car, you may want to take a look at, the benefits it has for you, right? So it's not really a debt if you use a car to get to work or to make money. Now it actually makes you money. Or if it saves you time, which now you have more time to work or to make money, now it's making you money. If you use your car to get to work and back, it's actually making you money. So I think it's about re-evaluating really what's going on here. It's like, not all, I have zero credit card debt. I have a mortgage, and I have a car. So, I mean, it's possible. And I manifest money. Like, I'm really good at manifesting money. So, I think you need to sit down and really kind of be specific about these things and really rework what they mean to you, because you can't lump all of it into bad debt, because like I said, a mortgage isn't even debt, as you can sell the house to pay off the mortgage. So it's not like you sell the house and then you still have a $500,000 mortgage because the money just poof goes in the air. Okay, so I would take a look at those aren't really contradicting beliefs. They just need to be a little bit more detailed. But your subconscious mind can be that detailed. So I say I'm debt free. Okay, and and I've got a mortgage, but like I said, my mortgage isn't a debt because I can sell the house and I can get the money to pay back the mortgage and plus more. I make money. It's an investment, right? So let's be a little bit more clear on what, debt is. 100%. Intentions, like I always pay my credit card on time. I always have more than enough money to pay for my credit card. Yeah, we don't do much of money intentions. I've done a few money videos. There are a few money videos. My older videos, they're actually really, really, really good. Take a look at them. If you just look up on my channel, like you just search money, you'll find them. Juliana has a question. Hi, Amanda. I've been manifesting my SP back for about a month now. And, oh, sorry. I've been manifesting my SP back. About a month ago, we met and had a really nice time, but I think I couldn't let go of the old story. Now he's back on a work trip, which I obviously unintentionally manifested, and should be back in a few weeks. I love him a lot, but I'm having trouble believing he loves me and wants to be committed to me. I work on self-love a lot. We've been in no contact for about 10 days. I intend he loves me and wants to be in constant contact with me. It feels frustrating to even write this because it's like I know the answer, but I'm having trouble putting them into practice. I don't even know what my question is. I'm sorry. Oh, just any help or clarity you can give will be highly appreciated. Okay, so you know what? I know you're working on your self love and you're already perfect. Let's just start with, what do you need him to say, do, and act to show you that you feel that he wants to be with you? Okay, so, I like future planning. I like, including me and inviting me to go places and, introducing me to family, friends, taking me out in public, like all these sorts of things. But I mean, let's just be honest, both, like, we all know, unless you feel like he wants to be with you, there's not going to be much that he can do to change your mind unless you feel like that. So, but start creating things that are going to make you feel that he does want to be with you. And like future planning is a big one for me. Some people just need to move in together. So, the other thing, right, is create more, communication, right? And keep focusing on that he does want to be with you and make everything that he does mean he wants to be with you. I know you may not feel it right now, but if you honestly keep focusing on it, it'll happen. Me and Megan just recorded before this a success story of one of her clients, and one of her clients just kept focusing on her intentions and she didn't even believe them, and they ended up coming true and she got a proposal. So you've just got to keep persisting in it, and you'll keep persisting. And I know you don't feel like it today, but tomorrow you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh yeah, I feel like he does like me. And then he'll do something like off that list of things you want him to see, like to do, and to say to you, and then you're going to start to build that belief, right? So yeah, keep persisting in the reality that you want. And I know you already know this, right? I think it really comes down to just doing the little list of intentions to build your belief. It really does. Every once in a while, I won't believe, things are, like I'll just be like, oh, like this is, thoughts don't great. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Andrew will like say something that I was just thinking, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? What was I thinking? Like, this is totally true, right? So it's those little tiny moments that really help to get you back on track, right? And then we have one more question. I'm just going to read it quite generally because it was a message that was sent. So, yeah, so basically, and it was on the Patreon group as well. So basically, she says, or they say, I'm new here and I've got a lot of issues, but my question is about not getting any changes or manifestations at all. Okay, so I know the advice is to test it out, but nothing's moving. So should I change my thinking? So if nothing's working, you're going to want to look for intentions like, this doesn't work, nothing ever manifests for me, and you want to start changing it too. I always see my intentions working, everything's always manifesting for me. I remember I knew a few people, they were like, their main mantra of their life was, this was BS, right? You know, so basically, you want to start, focusing on how you see this working and how your list is always manifesting. Guys, you're always constantly manifesting, like constantly. Okay, everything in your reality is a manifestation of your thoughts, every single thing. Okay, every single minute of the day. So do you want to start, if you're not seeing it, then you're blocking it. So how your subconscious mind works, right? And you guys have all done this, I know you have, is you're like looking for your cell phone, you're holding it, but you can't find it. And you're like, oh, my cell phone's lost, my cell phone's lost. But yet you're using the cell phone like flashlight to like look under the couch to find it with your cell phone, right? You're holding it. So that's because you're focused on not being able to find your cell phone. So your subconscious mind blocks it out for you. Well, that's exactly what your thoughts do. Every single thought that you have is like a flashlight, okay? And it's going to show you what you think, right? So if you have thoughts that this isn't working, if you have thoughts that that nothing ever manifests for you, that the little list doesn't work, that you don't see any movement anywhere, then what's happening is you're creating that and you're having those thoughts, and that's what's blocking it. So you've got to get on top of those thoughts as well. This is always working. I always see my manifestations. I always see proof that everyone's me pushed out. I constantly see that my thoughts are always creating. Okay. And I'm a really good creator, and I know it, and I can see it. I see proof everywhere that I'm constantly creating and that my thoughts are always creating. Because the minute you say, look, I intend this, it's there. And then the minute you're like, oh, this doesn't work, it's blocked. Okay. So you can, so it's either, there's some really negative self-talk about, law of attraction not working, or two, we're just not focusing long enough on something, or we're making our list too hard. But I would start with intentions like, hey, you know what, everything I constantly, all my thoughts are constantly manifesting, and I always see them, and start with a little bit, less intentions that are less resistance to them. So start with a list of really, really easy things that really don't mean a whole lot. We don't want to make this hard, like, oh, you know what, I intend to see a guy flying. Well, if you don't believe that, then let's start with, look at just seeing a blue ball, or just seeing a ladder, or just seeing like it's some really like a purple rose, or, a green tulip, let's just start, a little bit lesser down, and things that are sort of easy that you'll see the correlation, because it's about setting yourself up for success, not failure. Wonderful, guys. You guys are all amazing. Like, absolutely. Yeah, so this was our YouTube live, guys. If you do want to ask me any questions, definitely join the Patreon, post them here. Yeah. And guys, we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.